Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon with Brandon Wound Pickups.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled that you are listening to our show along with us. It would be even more fun if we were all in the same room, all of us around the whole wide world. Oh, now I ruined it, didn't I?
Yeah, you ruin everything, Todd.
We have a great guest on the show tonight. Great guest, who are you?
I'm Scott Strange.
Hey.
Of
Templo Devices.
Templo Devices in you tell
Canada.
everybody where you're from.
That's all, folks.
I'm on Vancouver Island, Canada.
Yeah.
British Columbia.
I was going to say
near
British Columbia.
Vancouver for the Americans.
Right. British Columbia, what's that? Oh, you mean Vancouver? Shaw. Anyways, that was ridiculous. So we're really excited to talk to him because this guy makes all kinds of cool stuff. I found out about him through his portable amps that he's making, which are pretty fantastic from everything we can gather. But then it's like, oh, wait, what's this? And what's this? And what's this? So really exciting stuff. This is a true maker, handyman, makes it all kind of fella.
Thanks.
And he's got a great story, which we touched on last night. So when we were just chatting over the phone, and can't wait to share that with everybody. But for right now, Tony, why don't you enlighten everybody, just so everybody knows, in case this is the first time somebody's like tuning in, what's all this guitar knob stuff about? What do we do?
Well, on this podcast, we like to talk about gear. Specifically, we like to talk about boutique gear. And even more specifically, we like to talk to the builders of this boutique gear. That would be things like guitars and amps and pedals and accessories and all the good stuff.
That's right. And occasionally some pickups and all kinds of things. We've got so many good guests coming. I know I kind of leaked that out in a previous episode, but even since then, we're talking even more. And I'm super excited.
Nice.
Yes. Let's talk about, we got a couple announcements real quick. And when we get through those, we need to thank
Rode.
Thank you, Jared. We need to thank Rode Mics for providing our awesome equipment that we record this podcast on every week. We're grateful to them for it.
Absolutely.
This is the Rode Caster Pro awesomeness and the Procaster mics. I'm sure naming is a blast over at Rode Mics. All the division leaders of you're in the what? Oh boy. So anyways, much thanks to them. Awesome people making awesome products. So, and you know what? I'll just say this, I don't talk about CEOs and stuff and all that's, too much, but the guy who's running things over there, Peter, is he really is a true enthusiast of specifically, I think, guitar stuff and rock and rollia. He's done some pretty interesting things with items from the rock and roll world, and I think that's pretty cool. Anyways, just saying.
Yeah, didn't he buy the Kurt Cobain Martin guitar?
He did, but he's done a couple other things. I'm not going to belabor the point, but
yeah. Well, cool.
Some other pretty awesome stuff. So, anyways, I also wanted to call out specifically. So last night, actually about 5 minutes before I started talking to Scott, I uploaded Hello Sailor Effects ... again episode. Mm-hmm. So this is a week out, or 2 weeks after, I guess. And right out of the gate, I just uploaded it like I normally did and went off and, had the phone call and woke up the next morning and my phone was kind of blowing up a little bit. I was like, wow, it's pretty early. It was like 6:15. And I got a message and it says, hey, there's something wrong with the episode, blah, blah. And I was like, first of all, that's awesome that someone reached out and just was like, hey, how you doing? But they're like, they're checking to make sure that it's okay. So I wanted to give a special thanks to Daniel Brokenborough in Australia.
Say that last name again.
Daniel Brokenborough. Brokenborough.
I like it.
I'm butchering it. I'm so sorry. Brokenborough.
Broken, bro. It's broken, bro.
Yeah, pretty much. I guess that's probably how it is. So Daniel was kind enough to say, "Hey, I was trying to listen to the show and it cut off at 22 minutes." And I was like, "Wait, that's bad." Fortunately, it was early enough because when you re-up an episode, you basically lose all of your numbers from whatever people have downloaded. And, a lot of downloads happen automatically if you subscribe to the show. So I was like, egads, I got to fix this. Managed to do so. And I was just really, really thankful because he could have said, that sucks. And, went on his way. But he didn't. And I really do appreciate that. And then later this evening, I got another message from Logan Collette. And he was calling. He says, "Hey, I was listening to the show and it stopped." And I was like, "Oh no, what's going on?" Turns out he was listening at like 6:30 in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And so I said, "I fixed it since. Go ahead and give it a try." And he was just really kind with, "Hey, love the show. Been listening. I've heard all the episodes." And it's nice to know, like, people give a crap, not about us or the show, but like they give a crap about the thing that they like, and they want to make sure that everything's okay. Like, it's just people checking up on each other. That's all it came down to. Didn't have anything to do with, wanting to connect with the show or anything. It's just like it was an easy reach out, So I like that. I appreciate that. And I remember, in radio, when all we had was a radio, and I don't mean in the 30s, I mean, FM radio is like, if you want to, when you lock onto a DJ and you're like, man, wish I could just hang out and just ask him a question or talk. And it's like, it was like going through Washington, D.C. to talk to a DJ. And now we can just like go, hey, what's up? It's pretty cool. So anyhow, yes. Thank you to you people and whoever else was either thinking about it or had messaged me, and I still haven't seen it or anything.
Yeah, I listened to it this afternoon on Spotify, and it was fine.
Good, yes. I triple checked all of the places. And if you do run into an issue and you're like, hey, I think there's a problem with this, and there have been other people along the way, they're like, hey, you left this gaff in, and I don't think you meant to because it doubled up. That's happened. I'm not perfect, and I've made a couple mistakes with some of the episodes, but I really do appreciate everybody just reaching out and just, going, it's like they own it. It's like their ownership. It's like, hey, my car's not running right. Can you fix it? Yes. Thank you.
Well, there you go. Beautiful.
Yeah, pretty cool. Anyways, let's find out what's going on in our music world this week. We're going to start with Tony, and then we're going to head over to Scott Strange.
Okay, so, this week, I have been reading what I think is one of the best issues of Vintage Guitar magazine I've seen in a long time. This is the March 2021 issue that has Mike Campbell on the cover. And it's a really great look at, guitars in his collection. If anybody's a fan of Tom Petty, they know, the very cool instruments that, both Mike and Tom played. And there's some real cool photos, great story about his new band. Then I flipped a few more pages, and there is a photo essay on a new book called Stomp Box, which is the 100 Pedals of the World's Greatest Guitarists. And there's some cool photos of the actual pedals, stories about the players that have them. So that was really cool. And then I flipped a few more pages, and I think an episode or two we were talking about the Schaefer Vega diversity system that is used for that Angus Young used. It's a wireless system, but a lot of players use that for a preamp. So there's some great stories of that. And then there is the Schaefer replica by Solo Dallas that is also featured in that article, as well as a separate write-up towards the back where they talk about vintage guitar approved gear. So all in all,
talking about that with R2R Electric.
That's right. So this is, I mean, it's really, like I said, sometimes vintage guitar, it has a couple of good stories, but this one is just chock full of great stuff. So get the March 2021 issue today.
Wow. All right. Fine. Let's see, Scott Strange, what's going on in your music world this week?
Well, I'm a little bit out of the loop because I live on an island on a mountain. I live in a forest on a mountain on an island in my shack, and the world is kind of closed right now. So I'm not really in tune with a lot, but my buddy Jimmy James from Devin Lamar Organ Trio, they dropped a new album, and I've been listening to that a bunch.
Nice.
And in terms of gear, I have a buddy named Dave. Shout out to Dave, who's been with me my whole gear mojo journey, and we talk every day. And we've both kind of recently, so what'll happen is one of us will just kind of say, "Hey, have you seen this?" And then we'll spend like 2 weeks diving into that kind of thing. So right now we're on like studio compressors, which is something I've never really looked into, and especially like as a guitar player, I was like, compressors, I don't need them. And then I started learning about them, and I've been diving into a lot, like all the old, like the Fairchild and the Gates, Stay Level, and all that stuff. So I'm building a tube compressor right now. But
nice.
We're just obsessed with that right now. So we're just scouring eBay for old parts that we don't need, and it's compressor week.
Yeah. Can I just chime in there real quick here? We're building a compressor. He showed this thing to me while we were on the phone last night, and then, like, my jaw hit the floor because it is. I don't care if it made brownies. That's one of the coolest pieces of gear I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun building it.
I like brownies.
Thanks, Jared.
Jared's like, brownies.
Well, of course.
Yeah, everybody needs an easy bake oven on their pedal board.
Special brownies.
Oh, right. Well, that's a good one. And let's see, Jared, how about yourself?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about what I was going to share, and I kind of hesitated, and then I thought, what the heck? So, well, my dad passed away in 2012. I have he married, remarried after he left my mom. So and she had a big family before. So I've got all these stepsisters, and one of their stepkids, so all these stepkids and whatnot, but one of them actually, so I'm sorry, I'm already off the rails. So this kid, this kid, high school age at that time, was playing with dad, and dad was teaching them stuff, and they were jam buddies, when he lived in town, and kind of got close with dad. And when dad passed, he kind of took it hard. And I didn't know him very well at that time. And he was a kid, and he asked if he could have one of my dad's guitars. And
Whoa.
And after he passed, and I mean, the kid was 17, 18. He I felt bad because I wanted to give him one, but I didn't want to have to deal with my brothers and have to ask everybody else. Because if someone hears that you give someone something like that, then, you just don't ask. But like I said, he was a kid. He didn't, and he was real close to my dad. So I understood where he was coming from at that time. And all these years go by. I see him on Instagram the other day, and he's got this Jazzmaster and somebody else's pickups in this Jazzmaster, and they're not mine. So I messaged him. I'm like, dude, I'm going to send you a really good set of pickups. And then some time went on, and I got to thinking about it a little more, and I decided to actually give him one of my dad's guitars.
What?
Yeah. So it's a Crafter, and it's a classical style guitar, and I got it out about 3 times since he died.
Wow.
I don't play it. I don't play it. I don't know I think the last time I played it was 2013, maybe 12 or maybe a year after he died. That's it. I don't think I've opened the case, so I got to get it out, clean it up.
That's really cool, man.
This his name's Alec, and he's a really, really good fella. He's in his mid-20s now. He's going to get married soon. So it's not like he's going to have all the expendable cash anymore to get any guitar he wants. So I figured it was time to pass one to him. And another reason I decided to do this for him is because not too long after my father died, he actually had an old picture of him from Facebook that he saw, on his profile. And it was my dad with this ukulele. Well, he found a ukulele just like it, and he bought it just because my dad had it.
Wow.
So I thought, okay, I guess he was a lot closer to my dad than I thought he was. And it took me a long time to decide and to actually think about it, but I feel really good about it. So
that's awesome, man.
I know. I'm sorry. It's
really
a little
kind
sappy.
gesture.
It's kind of sappy this week for my little whatever, but
No, it isn't.
I think it's a good story.
It is a good
Better
story.
late than never kind of thing. And he really deserves to have it, because I'm really hoping he gets it out more than I do, because I don't remember the last time I've had it. And my dad's gave me. I've got a lot of it. I get his guitars out all the time, just not that one.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's nice. Yeah, I'm sure he'll treasure that.
There's some country guitarist who's listening who's like, man, I'm going to make that a song. It would seriously, that would make a great country song, dude.
When are you going to give me a guitar that belonged to your daddy?
Very nice.
Brownies.
I think it's been written.
Yeah.
And then give me a brownie.
Yeah. Very cool.
When you're walking down the street, and then
someone hands you a brownie,
Yeah.
and you feel really good after that.
you got to be careful when you're in Amsterdam and
Yes.
somebody hands you a brownie.
Well, almost anywhere. So this week I was tinkering. I'm always
How
tinkering
about you,
around.
Todd?
Well, thank you, Tony. I was tinkering around with my stuff, and I mentioned on the last episode that I was working on some video stuff for the band. Because anybody who's in a band or is trying to promote themselves as an artist or whatever, it feels sometimes like you're doing 20% music and 80% flapping your wings. And in this case, I was doing a lot of flapping my wings.
Are your arms tired?
They are. I did a little Instagram story, and I said, hey, I'm multitasking. I was literally editing the Hello Sailor Effects episode. At the same time, I'm working in Premiere making this video thing for the band, because I'm like, I have to get all of the things done, and I don't have all the time in the world. So I was making the most of my time, and I felt very creative and very productive, and it felt good. And both of them ended up pretty darn good. I had mentioned that this was, I kind of made what I think was a unique approach to sharing music. I don't know if everybody else is going to think that, but I think so. And you can check that out on Instagram at the Villantinos, VILLAINTINOS. Villantinos.
Todd doesn't get enough credit on here because he's not going to say it himself, but he's really talented at that kind of creative video type of work. So good for you, Todd.
Thanks, buddy. I'm really thrilled with the way it came out, and we're gonna do one. I'm gonna do one for every one of the songs from this last album. So there,
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And now that I got the format down, I don't have to. It won't be like recreating the world that I don't totally understand in a matter of days.
You're
So
still very creative.
yeah, it's good to feel like that. And the cool thing is that almost every single person who's listening to this show has that kind of juice in them too, especially the guy that we're about to talk to. Holy moly. This guy's got he's like chitty chitty bang bang, factory over there. Jiminy Christmas. Speaking of that.
How about some of this?
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the floor.
Tony Baloney,
Yes, Todd.
One of my favorite things about guitar stuff is when I find a new piece of gear that I just absolutely fall in love with.
I know you do.
I
hear about it all the time.
Can you guess which piece of gear I'm thinking about right now?
It's not the Schaefer Diversity.
You're right.
Tower.
It's the Tour Gear Designs patch cable.
I
You got
knew
it
he
on
was
the
gonna
first
say
try.
that.
That's
I knew
amazing.
it.
How well you know me.
Those are awesome.
I am thrilled to death with this product, and I have it. It's all over my pedal board, and I got some new ones, some long ones to go underneath the pedal board because I'm switching all the things around, and it's a great way to make sure that your board is as fail safe as possible.
So you're telling me you like these things a lot.
I love them, and you can get a killer deal on them at tourgeardesigns.com/discount/guitar knobs.
Yes.
And you can that's where you need to go. And you're going to get 10% off your entire order.
But come on, they've got to be expensive.
They are not. They're under $6.
Oh my goodness.
They
and then an
start
extra
under
10 off.
$6.
Holy moly.
That's right.
I'm going on right now.
Yep. Do it. And everybody who is hemming and hawing and going, yeah, I don't know if I should. What's it going to hurt? It's a cup of coffee, for Pete's sakes. But now you can have awesome gear. I think you want the awesome gear. Go check it out. tourgeardesigns.com/discount/guitar knobs and get your 10% off. Scott Strange, Templo Devices. What's your four on the floor?
Well, I always have a Hudson broadcast. I've been really digging that one.
Oh, I know they did different knob colors, right?
Okay. I built my own copy. I'll contextualize that later. I mean, I've been a hobo for the last 10 years. So that's why I got into this, was to build my own stuff.
Gotcha.
Cheaper.
Okay.
But I'm giving them a shout out now. So go buy a Hudson broadcast from them because they're awesome.
Yes.
But mine I have 2-foot switches and 2 volume knobs, so I can switch between the 2 gain stages.
Oh, very cool.
Kind of a cleaner and then a dirtier one. That's always kind of been on the front of my board for the last several years.
Now, why that? Why that?
I just like the sound of it. It's got a transformer in it, and transformers are magic.
Why is that magic in a pedal format?
Oh boy, I was just reading about that for a while yesterday. But supposedly it's a shelving filter, so it kind of just chooses certain frequencies that are nice, or it doesn't actually overload the transformer. Apparently, I don't know. There's all kinds of opinions. I'll just go with Mojo. Okay. You just know it's in there, so you play better.
Do you put that that's at the front of your chain?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of my dedicated kind of like a little bit of grit, a little bit of boost.
Gotcha.
Just kind of gives some sparkle to whatever guitar I'm playing with.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, my boards are always very simple, so usually it's about 4 pedals. My next one would be, it's actually the vibrato that I make and sell, but the reason I sell it is because it's been the one I've used for years. Mm-hmm. And it's just a really nice vibrato, super subtle, and it kind of just gives that little bit of warble VHS kind of feel.
Is it like a super duper multitasking vibrato, or is it?
This is the simple as it gets, depth and speed.
Right, and that's the one that's available on your website.
Yeah, and I just keep that one on kind of almost all the time because it's very subtle. It's not like woo.
Yeah,
it's just gives a little bit of movement and kind of natural. You almost don't even notice it, but you notice it when it's missing. You know,
that effect. I remember. It must have been in maybe like episode 22 or something. I mean, way, way, way back. And we were talking about effects that I want, and I said I wanted a vibrato for that exact reason. I didn't want to know that there was vibrato going on, but I'm a huge fan of most Brit rock, Brit pop, whatever, Stone Roses, Oasis. Like, I love that stuff. And one of the things that I've always appreciated about the sound is that there is movement in it. It's not radical, but there's movement at all times. And I'm like, I bet a vibe pedal would give me that,
Yeah, it kind of gives you like almost a breathing feel. Like, like it's alive more. It's less stagnant.
Yes.
It's funny. I was working on a project this past week. I got my reel-to-reel out, and I found an old tape, and it's I don't know, 6 or 7 songs my friend and I recorded like 20 years ago. And so I recorded this stuff on the GarageBand to add more tracks to it. And all the songs have that warble because it's actually coming from the tape. I mean, it's the sound.
Mm-hmm.
So if I, let my friends listen to this, they're going to be like, why'd you put the warble effect on the voice and the 2 guitars? Like, that's real, man.
Indeed.
It's real.
I just featured one on the Instagram. That was the 1 Minute Wonder. I did Polar Bear Effects, the Young Heart, which is of like an old time VCR kind of warble tone to it, and it has this kind of indescript. It's a vibey, echoey kind of whole thing, and that pedal does a nice job of that as well for a multitasking pedal, not a standalone vibe like you're doing. Which I think there's a lot of merit in having something that goes, I do this really well.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of like, I call it my sound. Like it just colors it and makes it what I want it to be.
Cool.
But I have a bit of a theory about why those sounds are appealing to us, like the tape or the reel-to-reel or the VHS. I feel like sounds and sights and styles and things that we kind of had coming up through our lives, we associate with kind of a warm, comfortable, familiar feeling. So we grew up through the time of tape, right?
Of course.
So in your youth, those were the sounds. So that warble is almost like smelling something that brings you back to your childhood. It's that little bit of familiarity, and that's kind of why we like it, and that's why it feels human.
Kind of like brownies.
Kind of like brownies. Actually, like
Today's show.
we don't typically go into like deep music theory, but my daughter is a pretty accomplished violinist at her young age, and one of the things, like, I've always known about vibrato, but I didn't know why, and we learned together that when you listen to a violinist and they're doing the vibrato on the fingerboard, that was done like way, way, way back when this music was first created, to mimic the way that the human voice sings, because it's more pleasing. And they found that like just pulling the thing straight was like, let's get some movement on that. And it's true, when you hear a violin, go from like a real slow vibrato into a faster one, it's like not only does it sound more pleasing, but it creates more emotion from a single note than you could possibly get. Yeah,
definitely. Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Yeah, more dynamics and character.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's usually when you want to cry, right? When they're doing that real, like...
And speaking of shout-outs to people, Jared is one hell of a violinist, people. We've talked about this, we've touched on it before, but every once in a while he breaks out. I'm like, what the heck? He's very good.
Thank you. And that actually, I'm kind of a hack, but I'll take it.
Take it. All right. What's the?
I feel like it would be easier to play the violin if you put the brownie down. Like that might be getting in the way of of your greatness, right?
Well, I just put the whole dang thing in my mouth. How's that?
There you go. I have 2 more pedals, I guess, on my board.
Do it.
Another one that I built. I don't sell this one, so I'm not plugging anything. But it's a reverb, and it's just a hobbyist circuit you can find on the internet if you're into it. It's called the All Star Reverb. And you can build it with belt and brick. And I just have used that forever. And I just like the sound of that reverb. You can do all kinds of things with it.
And you say do all kinds of things with it, like besides reverb, like what does that mean?
Well, so I put in a dry kill switch. So it'll kill my dry signal and you'll only hear the reverb sounds. You can do very ghostly kind of stuff and fills. You can do just kind of very short. They're all reverb things, but you can kind of achieve lots of feels with it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it the first time I ever heard of a kill dry switch? Come on.
You got to make your own pedals.
Awesome, man.
You got to be cheap.
So who was it that we were talking to that also mentioned the belt and brick?
Was that 29 pedals?
Ago. Was that it?
I think it was
Jesse.
29 pedals. Yeah, I think it was
It
Jesse.
might have been.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's been helping me out a bunch.
I've got one of his on the way.
Yeah, I could be wrong. See, it's going to be the other... Shoot. I can't remember exactly, but I know it came up. Anyways.
Yeah, they're pretty common. They're pretty common thing among DIY users. I mean, it's just a plug-in unit that you can make reverbs and similar effects. You can kind of mix it with delays and different stuff. There's quite a bit you can do with it, and they kind of opened up a lot of territory for people.
And that takes the place of like a bucket brigade chip.
I don't know if I can say on the air what it's made of, but it's basically made with digital delay chips. So it's not,
that's a Neunaber guy did that one. He's the one that built that.
I think so. Yeah, but they're fairly simple. It's just kind of like an IC, right? Like when you get an integrated circuit chip, it's basically a larger circuit that they just compress into a small plug-in unit, so you don't have to build that whole circuit every time, right?
Yeah,
like an op amp or something.
It might have been cascade effects. Oh, this is killing me.
They're pretty prevalent. I mean, they're pretty prevalent.
Yeah, we got into it deep, and we all started going like, "Wait, what the what?" So, anyways, okay, please continue.
And then my number 4 on the floor is I always have a ditto looper of some kind, whether the single or the double, because that's usually I'm traveling and I want to create kind of larger sound. So my last pedal is always a ditto.
Interesting. Like the one button ditto.
I had the one button ditto for years, and then I tried their X4 and I just wasn't a fan of it. And then I went back to the 2. So it's like, it's just got 2 buttons, and the one of them, because the biggest issue with the single button one is that to stop your track, you have to double tap, which is really awkward live.
I still can't figure it out.
It's you're almost doing like flamenco dancing to get it to stop. So the X2 has a dedicated stop button that can also be set to reverse or halftime. So there's some weird stuff you can do. And that one's just handy, just enough to have, more fullness to the sound.
Oh my goodness. That is one heck of a 4 on the floor, my man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yay!
Let's get on to finding all about Templo Devices and all the goodness that you were kind of walking around with the camera last night, and I was just like, whoa, what's that? So is it safe to say that you kind of came on the scene with your battery powered amp?
Yeah, that was my initial offering.
Okay, and that's kind of a result of your backstory, correct?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Hit us with your backstory.
Well, so I was born. No, when I was, I guess about 10 years ago, I was like, I'm pretty bored with life. It's too easy. I'm going to see if I can challenge myself. And I started traveling around Canada and just hitchhiking around, and became basically a hobo, playing guitar on street corners and, sleeping in the forest and kind of just having a great time every day. It was just kind of like, I was Huckleberry Finn for a while, and that was the appeal, is just kind of freedom. And in Canada, there's so much open space, so much highway, you can just hitchhike. I crossed Canada maybe 12 times or so in that time.
Wow.
Did you learn to build a fire without matches?
Yeah, you use a lighter.
I like
good answer.
That's the thing, is I was in Boy Scouts for 7 years before that too, so that kind of helped. So it's just, it was very comfortable, and you learn a lot on the road. But one of the things
he was a hobo, not a heathen. Jeez.
There's different kinds. A hobo is actually traditionally is a traveling migrant worker, and then home bums are the guys that sit around the town and ask for change and are a little less
play
favorable.
Hacky sack.
Now those are hippies.
That's Denver.
Being a hobo can be fun.
It was a blast. I loved it, and I'd still be doing it now, honestly, if I hadn't started this business. But ended up going to Mexico a bunch and living down there and repairing instruments and making friends. But basically through this whole journey, when I started traveling, I also started playing guitar more seriously. And I picked up a cheap J. Tercer acoustic, and then I put an electric pickup in it with help of my buddy Dave. I met him back in the day, and basically with him over the years, I would check in with him or mail him weird gear I found. And he's been like, his thing has been building stuff since forever. I kind of got into it a little later, and so we just like trade ideas. And I started playing electric. I started messing with pedals, and then I went, well, I need an amp, but I'm traveling, so I need a battery amp. So then he goes, oh, check out this little chip for a car radio. You can get, 10 watts off a 12-volt battery, but it's not great headroom. And so over the years, we just kind of he'd call me and be like, oh, I found another chip that's a little better or this or that. And we'd try different preamps and, I just literally road test this stuff. I'd drag it around and, bash it around and throw it into cars and cross the country and all kinds of stuff. And I had a lot of different versions. I even ended up building one in Mexico from an old oil can at one point and like a car battery and just like scavenged whatever I could and put one together, which was kind of neat, and played that for a while. And then basically I got to an iteration of it that I thought was pretty good. And then I said, okay, well, I also need, like, everything that I do basically comes out of necessity, which, is the mother of invention. So I would just go, I need this to happen. I need my pedals to be powered. Like, I can't have a battery amp and then need to plug my pedals into a wall. So I was like, well, how do I get 9 volts out of this thing to power my pedals? And we figured out some circuits for that. There was some pre-made stuff. And then I just, used it over the years. And then basically what happened was I was in Mexico, I guess 2 years ago now, just kind of like living on the beach, eating fruit and having a good time. And then I find on the internet this new chip and this pre-made power amp board that's really efficient and they're inexpensive. So I go, okay, there's my solution. Because basically what had happened was I had built this amp, and over all this time, all the people I'd run into, all my friends were like, "Ooh, I want one of those." And I go, well, I know how long it's taken me to get to here, so making you one, would be tricky. I mean, because I was building them out of like old suitcases and weird stuff that I found, like I was scavenging a lot. So making it, making it reproducible was the issue. So people would be like, "I want one." It's like, well, it took me, months to find this box, and then I traded somebody for this speaker, and so it wasn't really possible to make lots of them. And then I found these cheap chips, and I was like, you know what, maybe I can do this. I was just around that time I was thinking maybe I can do this a little more, not commercially, but just more routinely. And I get on the plane to come back from Mexico, and the guy sitting next to me, I start chatting with him, and he goes, "What's that thing that you have?" I was like, "Oh, it's my amp. I'd love to make more of these for my friends." And he goes, "Well, I'm an investor. I can, you want to start a business?" And I was like, cool. Like my initial thought was, cool, this stranger's going to give me a bunch of money to do this thing, right? Like, somebody's giving me this opportunity. And then my second thought was, I don't want a job. I'm a hobo. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. Why would I give that up to like go work? So I waited a while. I got back to Canada. I ended up like traveling around a bit. And then I was making them still. I was making them out of suitcases and stuff. And my friend bought one, and I went, wait, if this guy's going to buy one at full price, why don't I buy the materials for 10 of them and make 10, streamline the process a bit. And then it'll, because as a traveler, I'm always thinking like, what's my next thing? How do I get by? And so I called him up and I said, okay, well, what if I did 20 of these? You give me the money to make 20 of these. I make them all. I sell them all fairly quickly in a matter of months. And then I return your money, and then I have some money and I can continue traveling and people have some amps. And he goes, sure. And then, so basically within the first month, I realized this isn't a short-term project. That's not how this works. So then I went, crap, I'm going to have to, go even bigger. So then I doubled down on the design and got, was looking at chassis and all this stuff. But at the time I was literally living in the back of a truck when I started this, like the first stuff. And I was going to a maker space to use, like, they had a laser, and I was using some of their different tools and stuff to kind of work out the prototypes. And basically I was like, okay, I have a business now. What do I do? So I just started calling up places and going, hi, can you sell me a lot of speakers? Hi, where do I get Tolex? And so it was a very strange process because it was just me. I was trying to make it up, trying to figure out, like, how do you go from idea to a real thing and to a business? And so that took a while. And then he was investing a bit more money. And initially he was going to kind of give me business guidance and stuff. And that kind of fell through. So I was basically just improvising, making the whole thing up as I went and doing the best I could. Luckily, I had a couple of good friends who I would call and be like, hey, how do I do Instagram ads? Or can you help me polish my website or things like that? And then I've had my buddy Dave and a couple other people. I met this really great guy in the Philippines who's been helping me do like the SMD circuit board layouts. So just I'm basically, if you build it, they will come kind of thing, where once I was serious about this project and I started really pouring my energy into it and people saw that, they would show up and kind of contribute what they could,
Oh man, that's cool.
yeah, it was really neat to see everybody kind of come out and support. And they still do. Like, so I was saying, Jesse from 29 Pedals, I just reached out to him and said, man, I'm having this issue with this one part of the circuit. I don't like how it sounds. And he just goes, oh, well, this, and this. And I was like, oh man, I didn't even, cause I'm not an engineer. I'm just a guy who wants these to exist.
It sounds like you're an engineer that just hasn't seen a mirror in a long time.
Well, I mean, I don't have any school. I mean, I definitely have a problem-solving brain.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed for most of my life, I love inventing, and that's kind of been the struggle for this business. Is it's fun to build something like that tube compressor. It's fun to find that challenge and solve those problems. It's not fun to do the same thing 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I'm at now with these things. So my problem is I'm still selling these products and making these amps. But to keep myself entertained, I'm designing new products. and so I have like 5 or 6 things like ready almost to come out.
Entrepreneurial spirit, man.
But I don't have enough energy to make those real and to keep building what I'm building now. So that's kind of the challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been an interesting path. And I guess my motivation, like I'm not really in it to get rich or famous or, I didn't even put my name on the things. I named him after my dog. My dog's name is Temple, and Templo is his Spanish name. I live in Mexico. And so my main motivation was just like, these need to exist. I don't particularly want to be the guy to have to make them, but if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it so that they exist.
Mm.
And that's the same reasoning behind, I sent you guys a splice pedal. The same reason behind that pedal is it's not like, how do I make something that's mojo or that people will desire or will be cool? It's like, here's a problem. How do I solve it? I'm in the street and I want to sing and I want to play my guitar and I just have this one amp with the one input. Mm-hmm. How do I do that? And so that also evolved over the years. The same with the amps. I always had like a little box. And at first I literally I think I just had 2 jacks that I just twisted the wires together. So you plug the mic into one and the guitar into one and they just would mix. They just ram into each other and whichever one was stronger would win. And it evolved from there into what it is now.
So let's talk about that a little bit more, the splice. So I did an unboxing for that. Hopefully everybody out there listening is checking out the Instagram to see all these cool things that we unbox and then have the people on show. And what we were talking about last night was when you like, you could be blindfolded. And if somebody puts something in your hand, like, you're like, I don't know what this is, but I know it's serious. Like, this is a quality thing. There's a weight. There's a gravity to it. Exactly. That's and that is 100% legitimate. The truth about this pedal. I when I opened it up, I picked it up, and I think I even mentioned, like, I don't know what this does, but this is probably an amazing thing.
So you're saying your review, somebody's like, how does this pedal sound? You're like, I can use it to crack walnuts.
Yeah, you definitely could. It's got some weight and it's built like a tank. Usually I will, take the back off because a lot of times we get pedals and it's always cool to see, how people did the gear, guts and all that stuff. But I looked at this, I said, there's no way I'm touching this. And nor would I think that you would appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't care. I didn't goop anything. I'm like, if somebody's going to go to the trouble of copying or ripping off my stuff, that's fine. I'll just find out where they live. But yeah, again, like for me, my main considerations are always, it has to sound good because my buddy Dave has instilled this in me, the quest for tone, basically. I feel like a drug addict most of the time. Like every day we're on the phone and we're just like, have you seen this? And you guys know the feeling. That's why this show exists, right? It's just that it has to sound good and it has to make you feel good when you play it.
Yeah. And
then my second consideration, because of my lifestyle, is it has to be practical and it has to be resilient. Mm-hmm. And then third would be like, how expensive is it to get the parts and all that, like those considerations of a business. Mm-hmm. But so that like when I make the Nomad amps and stuff like that, it's very important to me to use quality where it counts, like in the speaker and the battery quality and the materials, like the wood of the actual amp, and then to try and save money where it doesn't matter, like on the feet or the gem light or, like, so.
Yeah.
just kind of things where it's just practicality in terms of decision making.
That splice pedal, let's touch on that really quick, and then I want to get you talked about the practicality. There's a couple other things I want to touch on the Nomad, but when we're on the splice, essentially, well, you explain it. It's your dang product, man.
Well, the splice is interesting because it started off as a very simple. It's basically it takes a guitar and it mixes a mic signal into it, but it doesn't affect the guitar signal. So it's just splicing a microphone into your guitar signal.
Into an amp. That's to be clear.
Into an amp or into a pedal if you want, And so when I would run mine, like my prototype version, I still have. Excuse me. I'd run. I didn't hit the mute fast enough. I'd run the mic and the guitar. So the guitar would go through, let's say, my vibrato, like the broadcast, a vibrato and a tremolo. Then they'd meet at the splice, and then they'd both go through my reverb and my looper. So that I could beatbox loop or put reverb on my voice. And so like the splice was in the middle of my signal chain, and I would literally splice the mic into the signal chain at wherever I put that pedal.
That's the first thing I did. I put a wah on it. I was like, I got to hear what a wah sounds like on this. This is awesome.
You sounded like a violin.
It sounded a little weird. Not great. I'm not going to lie. Don't put a wah in front of me.
Did you sound like the parents in Charlie Brown?
Yeah.
And so then basically from that basis, I just added again more features to make it more versatile for situations.
But it's not one of those pedal devices where you're like, oh cripes, I'm gonna need like an online course to figure out how to do this. It's still really, really simple, but it has enough options for it to be highly effective.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point. Like and that's when I talk to Dave, because he always makes fun of me because when I first started, we'd build pedals, and I didn't really know anything. So I'd always kind of turn to him and go, can we do this? Is this possible? And I'd always say, how many more knobs can we add? How many more things can we alter? Mm-hmm. And then that fever is kind of broken, and now I'm going, okay, we got to find that middle ground of how much can we add and how much do we actually need?
Right.
And then find that sweet spot where it's like, I have all the control I want, but I'm not wasting time messing with things. And so I've had some great pedals that I really liked. I'm not going to name them because I ended up selling them because of that reason of there's too many knobs. I'm playing and I don't have time to think of 7 knobs on a tremolo. So, so with the splice, it's just you have the mic side and you want to EQ your mic, obviously. That's been a huge issue for me playing in the streets with random mics or whatever gear I'd end up with while I was traveling.
Or Steve's or Chris's or...
Yes, you want to be able to change the EQ of your microphone. And then the guitar, I was like, well, I'm going to put in a little boost here. And then it was funny because I had it just on a little switch, like a toggle switch. And then somebody was like, why don't you foot switch that? I was like, oh, I can't believe I didn't even think of that. Because to me, it was a utility box, right? It was just kind of there. Now it's also a guitar clean boost. So that's kind of neat where it's like you can use it as a dedicated clean boost. And it's a MOSFET boost, which are among my favorite. They just have a really high input impedance and kind of make your guitar sparkle no matter what the pickups are. Just by the nature of it, I find them to be superior for a lot of applications. But
and it's about the size of a wallet.
Yeah, it's pretty tiny.
Like, I mean, it's small.
I made it as small as I could.
Which is really cool because, anytime somebody's eating up board space for a quote unquote utility pedal, they're like, darn it.
Yeah, and that's why I also made, because I thought of that too, I made the jacks top and bottom. So you can just sit, which it's like real tight between 2 other pedals that are top mount.
Yeah.
And not lose a lot of space to the jacks.
Very smart, very smart.
Yeah, so I tried to fit as much as I could.
One of the things that I was thinking of was that on the outset, so like if I'm not a vocalist or if I'm not a lead vocalist or I'm not a busker or, whatever you want to, a coffee house artist, whatever you might be who says, I need a guitar and a mic, this is perfect. Immediately I was like, this would be amazing for like backup or sound effect type vocals for specific kinds of music where you're not necessarily the lead, but you want to throw a fuzz on your vocals to make the song so
like
cool.
A secondary microphone.
Yes, exactly. That's why I was like, oh crap, this is
like you could be doing stadiums and have your real PA mic and then tape to it your fuzz mic, and the fuzz mic goes through your pedal board.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's so much you can do. Somebody even suggested, he goes, "Oh, I know what that's for," and then he just says this use, and I was like, "No, but thanks." Was just for recording an amp where you'd take your line out of your amp and go through the guitar side, and then put a mic in front of the amp, and then run that through the mic side, and basically you're blending line out and mic into one input kind of thing for recording. I thought was a kind of neat.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's like Inception.
It's super handy, and the XLR side also has a 1/4 inch line level input on the middle of it, so you can, like I was playing with a keyboard player and on a rooftop in Mexico, and so you plug his keyboard into that side, and then guitar on my side, and and again, like a lot of that is keeping those friends in mind, where it's like I have friends who that's how they make their living, and they can't afford a lot of gear, and they need their gear to really perform for them in those scenarios where you're kind of improvising a lot of time. Like I've seen some crazy setups in Mexico where, they're doing what they can with what they got. And so I keep that in mind when I'm designing these things too.
I've seen some crazy setups in Mexico that have nothing to do with music. Yeah, man, what a fantastic story you got going on there. And this splice pedal that we're talking about, I looked at that and I was like, huh. Well, I've never seen this, which is really cool.
That's why I had to invent it.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
I needed it.
That's brilliant. One of the things that I was kind of captivated by in our discussion last night was you were talking about your laser cutter and the materials that you're making your chassis out of, or I guess more correctly, the cabinets. Yeah. Sorry. And the way, like at first I was like, oh, that looks like one of those toys you get off Amazon where it's like, oh, you make the Eiffel Tower out of like crappy wood that's been burned. And that's not at all what it is. But instantly I was like, holy crap, that thing's got to be indestructible based on your construction design. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So when I first was going to make these amps, I was making them into suitcases. So that was a big challenge. Like, how am I going to make a cabinet and make a bunch of these? So my first thought was, I'm just going to make, box jointed wooden boxes. And then I Googled it and I was like, okay, you use a table saw and it takes, hours. And then, so there's a music store on Vancouver Island called Arbutus Music. Shout out to Richard, because he's amazing. And he's just I've always stopped in with my hobo mobile and just flown out of the back and been like, hey, I've got this stuff and this guitar I made, and he'd just buy it off me or just help me out, give me weird stuff. And he goes, there's a makerspace nearby. Go check them out. Maybe you can, build your cabs there. And when I did the tour, they go, here's a laser. And my brain's like, because I was looking at the wood shop and I was like, wait a second, can that laser cut plywood up to, 9 millimeters thick? And they go, yeah, it should be able to. And sure enough, I did some experiments and I went, okay, laser's how I got to do this. And so I ended up spending a whole bunch of, at the makerspace, you have like a digital pass. You can go anytime you want. Mm-hmm. So I would basically park my truck with my little house I built on the back of it and go and laser all night and then go crash in my truck, wake up and laser again. And just made all these boxes for the first run of the amp.
You're Grizzly Adams.
With a laser.
Yes.
And yes, I did that for the first while. And then after a while I went, okay, well, I can't be doing this. This isn't sustainable. I'm just waking up, baking in the sun and then lasering and getting assaulted by all these other makerspace guys who are vying for the laser to make,
I've only got 20 more to go. It's cool.
Oh, yeah. They were busy like etching comic book girls into pieces of plywood. I was like, you can probably just print those out for what you're using them for. But anyway, I ended up getting my own laser. I called my investor. I said, look, I need to get my own laser. I ended up importing it myself and then sleeping in my truck at the shipyards to go pick it up myself and save some money. And it was kind of funny.
What model laser did you get?
I don't know. It's someone from China. It's I can send you the info if you want. They're pretty affordable. I think it ended up being like 6,000 landed Canadian. So I think that's like $5 US or something. But but yeah, it's super handy. I ended up getting the deeper one, so I can actually like raise and lower the bed. I can do up to like 3 feet by 2 feet, basically. So I can cut out guitar body templates and stuff.
Wow,
that is awesome. Is it a 60 watt, 50 watt,
100?
Oh, 100. Wow,
it's 100 watts.
100 water.
Yeah. Beautiful. Oh yeah. It's gas powered. you pull the ripcord on the back. But no, it's great. I think it's a 100-watt CO2 laser, and it's super cool. And I'm pretty good at the computer drawing aspect of things, like Photoshop and vectors and things. So I can whip up stuff really easy. And so it's quicker for me to go sit down and draw up and laser a jig than it is to go draw it on a piece of wood with a pencil and cut it out with a jigsaw. Like it, and it's more
You're
precise.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, in a very small, poor way. Yep. Same guy.
That's awesome.
I do use the same battery cells as he does in his Teslas in my amps. I use the 18560s or 18650s, the lithium cells.
Oh my goodness.
So, but
now you're flexing.
He has a better haircut. I'll give him that. But yeah, so I ended up designing these boxes with the laser, and I cut them out. And then I kind of hammer and glue them together, and then Tolex and all that stuff. But it's pretty cool. It's a neat process. It saves me some effort, and it makes them very precise. All the screw holes for like mounting the baffle and mounting the chassis are all perfectly aligned after several tries. I did a couple runs that didn't align. So, but now that's the thing, is that's what I'm learning, is how do I get better at this process? So for all the Nomads that I had made, I had 100 circuit boards made all at once. And there was like 5 errors. So for each circuit board I send out, I have to sit there and change 5 SMD parts with a magnifying glass, and I have to change a couple drill holes on the chassis I had made. And so now the next time I do a run, everything will be perfect. But that's been a learning curve. It's like I had to do these big orders to save money, but then you can't really prototype on some of those levels. Or I did prototype a lot of things, and then even after like 5 prototype variations, I'm going, there's this thing I didn't notice. And that's the hard part, because I'm building stuff for people who really like their sound, really care about their sound. And so I'll get feedback, and they'll go, hey, this is a little dark. And I go, damn it, I've been listening to this amp right next to my ear for months, and I've gone deaf. So it's good to get that feedback and then go, okay, back to the drawing board.
Thomas Edison, everybody. Amazing. I did appreciate that it's got one giant googly eye on your laser. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, the other one fell off. He's getting a little drunk. But yeah, it's something to keep me busy. And I've been in this before lockdown. I was just in the middle of nowhere, and I have all this stuff. And one thing I guess that does help is I stopped most of my vices a long time ago. I don't drink. I don't smoke anything anymore. And so I kind of just have a clear mind, and, dating's not a thing right now. So basically all I can do is just build stuff, and it kind of works out.
Very good.
Nice.
Canadian Forrest Gump.
You're trying to find that box. You're like, he's like, okay, look, if you took Forrest Gump and Edison, you had them do it.
Batman.
This guy. Oh, well, no, Batman was rich. Batman was like a rich trust fund
he had
guy with anger issues who beat up
You're nothing
people.
like Batman.
No.
Oh, boy.
No, it's been, I thought I was going to be rich by now. That's not how it works.
No.
I'm still hoping like some
club.
big like Fender will call me and be like, we're buying your company. I'd be like, thank you. I just want to go sit on the beach again.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah,
It might
maybe
happen.
Elon Musk will buy it.
He could if his son XYZ Theta decides to take up guitar, maybe he'll be like, yeah, sure.
Man. Well, dude, you are a pretty amazing fella. I gotta say, and
Thanks.
A good guy to talk to as well. And I'm glad you're out there doing your thing, making your thing, and we are all reaping the benefits of your fantasy life. Goodness sakes.
Well, I'm glad you guys are here too, like doing that same thing. I mean, I'm not alone in this. There's so many of us that just love guitar, and they love what it brings to us and how it makes us feel, and sharing with people. Like that's my favorite is like connecting with people through music.
Mm-hmm.
And without that, I don't think any of us would be doing this. I think that's kind of what it's all about is having this. And it's great that you guys have this show. I'm super glad that it exists. I was listening to one with Jesse too, and it's just so fun to just kind of listen to the people that are like you doing similar stuff or similar interests, and you're just like, yeah that's so neat that's out there, right?
Exactly. And I hope truly, and I know that Jared and Tony share this because we talk about this all the time, that if there is just a shred, a pebble of inspiration that gets dropped on the floor through the microphone, through your headphones, listening out there, to be motivated to just do the thing you're thinking of. You know?
Yeah. If you're a homeless guy living in a truck
Down by the river,
you want to start making pedals that dispense brownies, you can do it.
That's right. Just
fantastic.
got to get on the right track.
Well,
And you need a laser cutter.
yes.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
like
right.
I had no clue. All I knew was my parents just always told me, you can do anything you set your mind to, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a hobo. And they're like, that's not what we meant. But the point is, I didn't go to any schooling for this. I don't have any background in this, and I had no idea what I was doing, and it was just that belief of going, I guess I'm going to have to find a way. And, you just figure it out. And now I'm where I am now, and hopefully will continue to grow. But I think, yeah, it's definitely possible for anybody who goes, I want to, achieve something. It's definitely possible because, I mean, look how far I've gotten. And it's just kind of, from asking around and knowing great people as well is a big thing. Like, don't underestimate having good people around.
Reaching out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I would even venture to say that, yes, a belief in yourself is great. But I think maybe more important, something I think you've shared, is that you didn't let yourself get in the way of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's probably really poorly worded, but hopefully you all know what I mean. What I mean, I think is one of the hardest things for us to do is that, we kind of have split personality. We have two people inside of us, the person that says you can and the person that says you can't. And more often than not, the person that says you can gets really excited, but the person that says you can't tends to jump out in front and hold up their hands and say, no, come on.
Yeah, fear.
Or fear, whatever you want to.
You can't let your fear get in your way, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is fear of failure or fear of embarrassing yourself.
Yeah.
All of those things. And I think, I don't know, I think there's definitely a couple mentalities you could have, but the one of, people who find solutions or people who find problems.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're finding problems, it's because you're afraid of trying and having it not work. But I'm super lucky in the sense that because I started where I did, that was the reason I became a hobo, if you will. I know you asked me to use that word as much as possible, I think.
I did. I actually did.
Every time I use it. But the reasoning for me doing that was I want to challenge myself. And when I say things are too easy, it's not I'm too good at this. It's there's not enough challenge and I can't find out how good I am at stuff if, I'm not tested. And I think that's a young person's necessity, is to test themselves at some point and go, what can I do? What can I accomplish or survive or handle? And so I was lucky that I came from that background of going, okay, I'm going to challenge myself as much as possible. I'm going to not know where I'm going to eat, not know where I'm going to sleep, be in a strange place. How do I get through this? And I ended up getting really good at it in Canada and then going to Mexico and then be like, I don't speak the language. I don't have any money. How am I going to do this? I ended up, learning Spanish, making friends. And then I went, okay, so there's always a way. And so I kind of had that training to get me to that point of like, there's always a way to do it. So when this guy goes, here's some money, start a business. And I go, oh crap. Well, just one step at a time. Mm-hmm. Just start calling places and go, where do I get speakers? Google stuff. I don't know. But because I was lucky that I had that mindset of, this is a challenge, I need to find solutions, rather than this is a challenge, I need to like hide from it.
You are Evel Knievel without the cool suit. And I only say that half kidding because think about this. Evel Knievel mentality. He didn't say, how am I going to land? He said, how far can I go?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
I do think about the landing, though, to be fair. I do say, how far can I go? But you do want to have a bit of a landing.
You just have to watch one person do that once, and you're like, well, you clearly didn't think about the landing there, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, right on. To make sure you keep us posted on all the cool new things that you're coming up with, will you?
Yeah, I think the brownie thing is a little far down the line, but I'm working actually. So now, because I don't know if I should, I'm gonna make an announcement on your show for the first time ever.
What?
I'm working on something right now that's pretty cool. Because of this compressor obsession that we've been on, I'm trying to make a compressor pedal that's also kind of like a mini studio compressor.
Ooh.
So it's like a pocket studio compressor. So it's not, and again, like it's not for those guys who have studios and have thousands of dollars of gear. It's kind of for those people who are kind of in between and go, okay, I want to record at home, or I want to record live, or whatever. I want it to sound as good as possible, but I don't want to spend thousands of dollars on gear. So it's kind of like a pedal that has XLR in and out, but also 1/4 inch in and out. And if you turn it one way, it's vertical top mount jacks guitar compressor pedal, and turn it sideways, then it's kind of mic through compressor, DI, phantom power, all kinds of stuff. So I'm trying to jam as much in there again as possible without being overwhelming. So it has a few of the compressor controls like ratio and release and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's going to be so that, like, let's say you're just, a live show somewhere and you want to get a nice little live recording, you just run your mic through this thing, or
That's brilliant.
Well, yeah, it's a thanks, but I mean, I say yeah. I'm not saying I'm brilliant, but I think the thing, right? Like, I guess it's outside of me, but that idea is just, again, like, I think of a scenario where you need something, and then how do you solve that? And that would be kind of the thing. So you can use it as a guitar compressor, which would be nice, but also, let's say, you're at home, and because that's what stopped me, I think, from recording at home, other than a pile of excuses, is compression makes all your recordings sound so much better. If you just go right into your interface and you're like, that's exactly how I sound. I don't want to make an album. But you compress it and you go, it starts to glue things together. And for me, as soon as I got a nice compressor and played with it, I go, oh, now I want to record. So yeah, that's just something that's it's in prototype stage right now. So it's maybe in the next 6 months should be flying out.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep us posted, and we'll stay on the lookout as well. I did want to just mention really quick, there's a couple bullet points that I think is worth, we kind of glazed over this awesome amp of yours, but it's I just want to call out how it's super lightweight. How heavy?
I think it's about 12 pounds. I had some, thanks for bringing that back. I'm terrible at business, but I had some speakers custom made at the Jensen factory in Italy that are neodymium. So they're like a third of the way to the ceramic speakers, and they sound just as good. They're a little bit different voiced. I think there's a little less bass. They're more clear. I really like them, but they're super light. Like, they're incredibly light. And they're just amazing speakers. Like the Jensen Black Tornado Jet something.
Jared.
Yeah.
Hey,
I don't
Jared.
speak Italian, but
I'm right here.
How is that pronounced in Italian? Neodymium.
A neodymium.
Okay.
there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
And then there's also you have I think it's like 10 hours on a single charge. Is that correct?
So they're a 10 amp. This is kind of the question I try and avoid, but they're 10 amp hour battery, but that doesn't necessarily translate to actual time. That's like if you're running 1 amp per whatever, it's just like a battery calculation.
Okay.
But suffice to say, they last a really, really long time. Like, I've been playing mine occasionally. I charge it every like week and a half.
Wow.
So if you were like playing it all the time, you probably charge it every 2 days.
Right.
So that was the point. Is like, if you're on the road, you're not going to find a charger every day.
So you're not gonna have to worry about it. Like, oh, is this gonna work at my gig? It'll work.
Nah, no, you're good. So that's the thing, is like, people go, oh, cool, a battery amp, it's for busking. And I go, no, this is designed to be your everything amp. And I've had a few people write me and go, I use this for everything, because it should be good for stage recording.
How much are they?
Bedroom playing. Like, they're great. It's 50 watts. I mean, like, it bumps. It's small, but it really pushes out the sound. And then I tried again to have as many features as I could. The one thing with it is, in terms of like thinking of my friends again, like, who are in these scenarios, is I feel like the mic input and the reverb aren't my best work. Like, they're very passable. They sound decent, but they're almost courtesy mic and reverb, because I don't use them. I use my splice and I use my own reverb pedal because I put them in different places in the chain.
Can you get it without it?
No, that's the thing, is I kind of had to design it. I just threw them in. Like, they're not an extra charge, really. Like, they're just kind of a courtesy. Hey, if you're in a scenario where you just have this amp and you need reverb and you need your mic through it too, they're there. They're not going to be the best, but they work, and they do a great job. I'm still kind of working it out, and that's the process of like the next iteration. Will have maybe a better sounding mic. It sounds very good, but in terms of like, the tone quest, you're never done improving it.
Right.
And the reverb sounds decent as well. But I mean, you're not buying it because of the reverb. I thought about
No.
putting tanks, but again, the cost goes up, the weight goes up.
Yeah.
So it was mainly just like, here's a box that makes your stuff louder and use your pedal board. And that's why it has the pedal power out. And it has like, I think it has up to 3 amps of 9-volt power. So you can run a huge pedal board.
Wow. What
Yeah,
what will this cost the guitar player who's looking for something like this?
So right now I only have the neodymium ones because again, I'm a small operation. So to get more ceramic speakers, I'd have to order like a bunch of them. So I'm not doing those right now. And
Oh,
yeah, they're kind of sold out. That was a run I did from Warehouse Speaker. They're great speakers. Those guys are awesome.
yeah.
They're quite heavy though, because I mean like the ceramic magnet, but that's what makes their speakers great is they're really chunky
Yeah.
magnets. I still use their speakers in the Rambler and the smaller amp because they're amazing 8-inch speakers.
Gotcha.
But I'm doing the neodymiums because I literally bought like 100 of them. And so I have to actually sell a bunch of amps before I can restock on speakers. Because you have to buy like a huge lot of them.
Wow.
But so right now the neodymium ones are going for, I believe, $589 Canadian. But I'm going to be doing a sale soon, I think, for spring. I'm
What?
going to be announcing that for just knocking a bunch of money off of those to try and get some moving as well. Because I mean, January is super rough, and so is COVID. So small businesses everywhere, I think, are having a hard time.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm going to try and just put a sale on those. I have my brother's coming out. He's going to help me make a bunch more boxes because it's a lot of work to make them. And I
Sure.
do every single step. So I drive to the hardware store and buy the plywood. I saw it into chunks, throw it in the laser, glue it together, round the corners, Tolex, and every single thing. Like I wrap the speaker grills and, glue the logos on it. Everything about it, I do myself. So I only have so much energy. And now I've launched the splice, so I'm making all of those. I'm doing some custom work on the side. So,
And what is a splice? For those everybody who's listening is like, cool. How much is it? Where do I get it?
Oh yeah. So everything's on my website, templodevices.com, and the splice is $99 US.
Jeez.
Yeah, so $130 Canadian, and I just try to make them affordable. And then the Nomads are $589 Canadian. I think that's like $430. I want to say US, but I try to keep them reasonable. My profit's not huge, but I want them to be accessible is the thing. I want people to be able to get them. And some people, like I stopped reading reviews on YouTube, but or like people's comments on YouTube, but a lot of people are like, oh, that's super expensive. And I was like, man, there's pedals out there that are the same price as this amp.
They're more.
And yeah, and the point is, like, I try to make it as affordable as possible, as accessible as possible. And it's not a novelty. It's not a toy. Like you buy this and you can use it everywhere. Like I don't really use wall warts anymore. If I power my pedals, it's off my amp because it's so handy. It's right there and I can just carry it across the room if I want.
That's crazy.
Right. So everywhere I go, I just use my stuff. It's not like, oh, I'm trying to represent my company. It's like literally I made this because I need it and it's super handy.
Wow.
Yeah. So
all right, man. Well,
yeah.
This has been super duper fun. We're gonna have to have you back on when you got some more stuff cooking, and we can dig in even further.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a couple things to do on our way out here. Jared.
Oh yeah. Well, this is the time in the show where I bless everybody's ears with a little bit of "Would you rather?" All right.
Nice vibrato.
Yeah, that was sweet.
All right. So you're walking down the street and you see 2 men hoisting a piano from the street to a 5th floor window. You always see that. And then Then you see a guy walking down the street, perilously unaware of the imminent danger looming above him because he was scraping the last gummy bear out of his frozen yogurt. I mean, duh. So you save his life because, you see the rope snap and you push the man out of the way.
Oh man, this is
And guess
harrowing.
who Exactly. It's Tom Murphy.
Like, what's the Tom Murphy?
The Tom Murphy, the guy that does this awesome finishing at the Gibson Custom Shop. And I hear he's actually doing some stuff with the custom shop, teaching them some new things over there at Gibson, by the way. And he says thank you, and as a reward, he's going to paint a new custom shop guitar for you. So you only have two choices, though, because this is Would You Rather, you know. So would you rather have it done in aged Pelham blue, which is actually an aged Pelham blue because lacquer turns yellow after so many years. So what does that do to the blue? It kind of gives it a green hue, right?
Yep.
So it's a nice green hue-ish with, you know, the crazing from the lacquer cracking over the year, which is really cool. Or an aged gold top. And I don't know about you, but one of my favorite aged finishes ever in the history of aging old guitars is gold, is the old Gibson gold. Because it somehow this weird, what is it, Tony, that makes the green? You see some sort of like greeniness.
Yeah,
that ages into the gold.
That's the brass, I think. That's
brass and bronze, and then it basically oxidizes.
So it's oxidation.
Yep.
I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's there's nothing that ages like those two finishes. I mean, those are the two best and coolest finishes after they're aged, in my opinion. So, are you going to go with the aged Pelham blue or the aged gold? A or B?
I'm more concerned about the piano. Did it smash into thousands of pieces?
I don't care. It was aged gold too.
So aged Pelham blue or aged gold.
Yeah.
Did we say what guitar it's going on?
It's
like
going on
Rich?
a custom shop Les Paul, I believe. Isn't that what you said?
That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Tom Murphy is famous for his bursts. Is that correct?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
And in his aged finishes.
His aged finish.
His aged finish. Okay. Yes. I remember when we had Mythos pedals on.
Yeah, Zach Broyles.
Yeah, he was getting one done by Tom Murphy.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. This is very fortunate that you saved his life, and what a treat to have such a guitar made for yourself.
Very lucky.
Yes, indeed. So it sounds like what we're doing here is we've had we've consulted the committee, the Would You Rather committee, and we've made an adjustment here behind the scenes.
Right.
You now have the option of it's a Pelham Blue SG.
How many pickups?
Custom shop.
3, baby.
Three pickup SG.
And you can turn the middle one off if you want.
Yeah.
How
or
about, does it have a vibrola?
shut it. Or
Sideways.
if you want. Or the gold top Les Paul. Right? Jared, is that what we're deciding?
Yes.
Is that with P90s or with humbuckers?
P90s.
Yes.
Would you say this to him in the street? Like, you just saved his life. He's like, I'll give you a gift. And you're like, what kind of pickups are in it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's a discerning man if I've ever seen one.
I'm going to give him both.
Yes.
Oh, God.
And it makes him like you more.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I love Pelham Blue finishes. And I'm fond of SGs, but I think I am going to have to go with the Les Paul with the cracky crazed greeny finish on a gold top.
Oh,
To me, that is kind of the quintessential Murphy aged finish.
Yeah, that's hard to beat.
That's what I'm going with.
Me
Well,
too.
What? After all that?
I know it's
After
so,
the committee meeting?
I have one. So I have.
We had our
one.
translators from the United Nations weighing in, sorting this out.
Oh, I know. I've had a Pelham Blue SG done, and with the age and all that, and it's awesome, but it just doesn't beat the age gold with the green.
Yeah.
You know, it just it's it's a step below in my book, but nothing beats the aged gold, like when it's ugly, nothing beats it. But Pelham Blue would be my next choice. Definitely. But yeah, I'm still going with the Les Paul because how many times have you? Well, I mean, we did that basically because nobody's ever seen a Pelham Blue Les Paul. I've never seen one.
No, you wouldn't want to see.
Well,
one.
they did the Epiphone in that.
Okay.
Yeah, they did a run. There was like a Pelham Blue run, like maybe 10 years ago. That I
think
recall.
everybody's hiding them in their closet.
It might be. I'm almost 100% certain that was made.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Can I just point out that in this fantasy world that you live in your own fantasy, instead of getting an actual vintage guitar, this guy's just going to give you a reproduction. I feel like
it's Tom Murphy.
Wouldn't Tom Murphy be like, you saved my life? I actually have a real gold top Les Paul and a Pelham Blue SG. Which one do you want? Or you'd be like, nah, I want you to just make me a
See, I don't think he would be that nice.
I wouldn't.
He doesn't value his
Big
life.
deal. You push me out of the way of a piano.
Well, then you throw the piano back on him. You know what? You're ungrateful.
Yeah, I wanted to die. Now you owe me a guitar.
All right. Well, Scott, what are you doing?
Well, if it was a melody maker, I would go for that in the blue.
There we
can't
go.
reconvene the committee. They've gone to the Italian Riviera. We can't
Then
get them back.
I'll tell the guy, that was pro bono. I saved your life, and you can just keep your shiny things.
Yeah.
Because I only like melody makers.
I mean, the melody maker, the body is an SG.
Not all. No, not all of them.
No, it's not.
We did a whole episode on that.
It's got a little thing that says melody maker right on it. You can't. That's not.
I'm sorry. You're right. They have two different styles. You're right.
3 different styles.
Like the single cutaway melody maker. The single cutaway.
Single cutaway. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I imagine if I was a blind guy, I'd say to him, just give me one or the other. Because they both sound good.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes. Well, I mean, look, I'm going for the gold Les Paul. Duh. It's not even a contest. First of all, I can't stand SGs. I do love your double cut Pelham Blue Les Paul Special, Jared. That's what made me want one of those.
Oh my God, I forgot I had that.
Yeah. If you ever decide to get rid of that, my black one needs a brother. So
I like that.
Anyways, yeah, for sure. The gold top Les Paul all the way. Absolutely. So
nice. Well, Todd, I would like to thank some very special people. These are our executive producers.
That's
right. You might be wondering, what's an executive producer? I can't even say it. That's how excited I am. How do I become one? Well, it's very simple. Go over to patreon.com/the guitar knobs and check out a couple of different levels in which you can participate, become a sponsor, a patron of this very podcast. There are an incredible bevy of fun-filled thank you gifts, things like barefoot buttons and stickers and keychains and picks and t-shirts and all the good stuff. But as an executive producer, you get all the great stuff. And there's one more thing. And Jared, what is that?
To have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing. That's what I'm going to do right now. So
that's right.
Special thanks to these executive producers, Mr. Tom Barazin, Martin Cliff, John Daly, Chris Carney, Darren Gregory, Doug Christ, Michael Van Zant, Ken Sayers, Brian Robison, Michael Senchuk, Stefan Lamb, Johnny Knowles, Anthony Lenthrop, John Anglin, Tyler Bray, Brad Partridge, Chris Heidel, John Esterly, Doug Gann, Justin Jones, Brett Alexander, James White, Matt Hart, Liam Martin, James Pennington, Richard Kendall, Tig Harmon, John Williams, John Jackson, Jason Roush, David Rando, Douglas King, Gary Cooper, Rob Saxby, and Elad Mizrahi.
But wait.
Well, there's more. There are a few more people we have to thank. They're
important.
They're our grand poobahs. This is the Penthouse Suite executives of executive producers.
That's right.
So special thanks to these grand poobahs, Mr. Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, David Kaminga, Cody Lane, Cody Foster, Sean S. Tommy Manasco, Mark Garton, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Tim Novak, and Tyler Rhines. Thank you, each and every one of you. We really appreciate it.
We love you.
Thank you so very much. All right, we're gonna first of all, Templo Devices. Is that just TemploDevices.com? Where can people get your stuff, Scott?
TemploDevices.com. I mainly do most things through Instagram. It's just like super easy. It's a very visual medium. So Templo Devices on Instagram and TemploDevices.com. TEMPLO Devices.com.
Awesome. Tony Bolonsky, where what about you?
Probably easiest to go over to pickguardian.com, check out some of the things I have available for online purchase. But by and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email, let me know what you need. Colors, pickups, all the fun stuff. I will take very good care of you and give you something you're going to love.
Great.
Yay!
Jared, about yourself?
You can go to BrandonWillenPickups.com. Check out all the different pickups we make. We do things mostly custom like Tony Baloney too. So if there's something specific, just get a hold of us. Jared at BrandonWillenPickups.com or message me, and then I'll tell you to email me so I don't ever lose the information that you messaged me with. And we do
get your pedals
rewinds.
at dealers too, right? Isn't that right?
That's right. Pedals? Yeah.
I'm sorry, not pedals, pickups.
Yep. So there's some of that in the works. I mean,
All right. Cool. You can send me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at guitarknobs, and I always share out the stuff we get with my two chums on either side of me here, Tony and Jared.
That's right.
And we'd be happy to answer, any questions that we can. And we would love to hear your would you rathers. Send them in, people. Thank you so much to Scott from Templo Devices for sharing his amazing story.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
And for making awesome stuff for us all to enjoy. Everybody have a fantastic guitar week and subscribe!
Yeah.
Don't pinch it off, it hurts.
I rock the Yahtzee and then play some Yahtzee.
Oh, Jared.
Jeez.
I'm terrible.
All right, you clowns.
Perilously, unaware.
And then Tony's number 2.
Yes, number 2. I've been called worse by better.
All right, so we've set the comedy bar for this episode.
Yes. It's
right.
It's low.
Gotcha.
It's real low. Perilous.
Test.
Oh dear God!
Jeez, Jared.
Test.
Turn down your input, man.
Is he in the bathroom?
I don't
thought
know.
it sounded like I thought I heard water running.
Test.
God, I don't know.
Tony.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Perilously.
It's silly and I like it.
Good. Jeez. Anyways.
What did I just walk into? No, I'd rather not know. Actually, I think
Okay.
the no context gives me I have this opinion of you that is not going away.
Okay. Perfect.
Now. Precariously?
I'm the worst. I know.
No, you're the best. Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.